Hello everyone, Richard here for more Ultimate Mode Panzer Corps. I'm very excited to show this scenario. This is really the first time you can see the vision I had in mind when I first started this campaign on how to handle Ultimate Mode. This is the first scenario where you start to see some of the machinations materialize, and a lot of weird decisions that I have made start paying off in the core composition. Even though I still have lots of bad decisions, but certain things that I'm deciding to do I think are amazing and will pay off, I hope. But before I get into this scenario, Goose and Bricata, if you're listening, you must upgrade your Stugs to Elephants, because these Stugs get destroyed on these maps, and there's no... I didn't find a single way to protect them. I would highly recommend you just upgrade to Elephants. Maybe even just upgrade to Elephants immediately, because you know they're just better than the Stugs, frankly. So for this map, I got a decisive victory in 12 turns, and I think it's actually possible in 11, but I didn't plan this hex correctly. So the plan is simple. I'll be doing some baiting here, and my infantry are going to be hiding in the woods, and they'll surge forward once I have taken care of the armor. And there is a lot of really nasty armor on this map, and even my Tigers are showing some wear and tear from the fighting. And then after I clean up the armor, the way I'm cleaning up the armor, this is a part of my planning. I didn't bring a single tactical bomber. So there's a lot of things that are changing about my core deployment that is going to make a lot of you scratch your heads. So a couple of things. I am not deploying Rudel until Berlin Redux, if I make it that far. Rudel's development is essentially done. I don't care. Tactical bombers, to me, are getting overused at this point, and really the focus should be on strategic bombers. So as often as I can, I'll try to deploy all three of my strategic bombers. And what I do with those strategic bombers is I drain ammo on the artillery or on nasty tanks, and then I start wailing on them. And then I surround them so they're out of ammo. And this works so well on this map, especially since I have a small congested area to actually fight in. I basically have these super strong tanks that are out of ammo, so my Tigers can kind of beat up on them. And my Elephants join in on the action too. The other thing that I did is my other tactical bombers, which I think both of them have over 1,000 kills, I upgraded to Messerschmitts, because I don't think tactical bombers are all that useful anymore, and I need some extra fighter killer firepower. And the idea is I'm going to have 3 fighter bombers, probably that will fall down to 2 in 44, and I'm going to use those guys as cleanup, because I'm often finding fighters are escaping my attacks. So I want to have some extra fighting killing force in the air. That's another transition I made. The other thing is eventually Oladir will completely disappear from my core. I imagine like maybe a couple times in 44 I'll deploy him, but Oladir is pushing 1,500 kills. I don't need him anymore. The reason I'm not deploying Rudel and Oladir is because they're soaking up kills from other units that need those kills. So I'm going to try to refrain from deploying units that are fully developed. And I consider a unit fully developed here if they're at 4 stars with 3 heroes. So that's another thing that I think people will find shocking. Don't be shocked if Helmet Lent disappears at some point. Helmet Lent is over 1,300 kills and well over 4 stars, so you know his development is probably coming to an end. The other thing is Overstrength is disappearing from my artillery over time, and the reason for this is it's just cheaper for me to give them elite replacements at the end of the scenario. Overstrength, I have to be kind of aggressive with my artillery, and they're going to get damaged, and there's just no point in overstrengthening them anymore. The other thing that's happening is my artillery is essentially useless. But what it can be useful for is digging out entrenched units at objectives, and you're going to see me do that and actually snag this objective early. What else is going on? Oh, one of my stugs is at 4 stars, and at the end of the scenario, a second stug hit 4 stars, and Kesha got to 4 stars, and it only took 1,529 kills before Kesha got to 4 stars. That's crazy amount of kills. It's wild to me how hard it is to get the 4th star. Anything else? I took a lot of damage on my Air Force, which is expected. This is why I'm not over-strengthening most of my airplanes, because I can't stop damage being done to them, so there's just no point. I think at some point I'm going to have to over-strengthen my fighters, but I'm delaying that for as long as possible. I don't remember much else. I got some nice heroes. I think I got another movement +1 hero on an elephant. I took some unfortunate damage here and there. Some of these mistakes were my own mistakes. But my level bombers are absolutely the MVPs of this battle, and you'll see this play out. I actually had a lot of forest hex to hide in, and trust me, it makes a huge difference. If you don't have forest hex to hide in, a map is basically impossible for infantry. I did bring Oladir here because I needed a fast-moving unit to outflank a few positions. But I followed a cautious approach, and then I got super aggressive, and it paid off. Might be a little loud. I think it's a little loud. There we go. Let's see. Anything of note? This is definitely the first scenario where if I didn't have elephants, I don't think this is a safe scenario for my corps. They have KV-85s and SU tanks and ISUs, and this is definitely the point where the corps is starting to feel like I've got problems. But I do have a lot of prestige, so I'll exploit that. That KV-85 is so nasty. A marginal victory on this map is extremely easy. The decisive is going to require... I don't think the decisive is hard, it's just a question of how much damage are you taking. I'm also increasingly afraid of the infantry. It's proving problematic. I really need to get my infantry to 4 stars because I need that extra initiative. That's Pine seizing that objective. Once you seize that objective, you have the marginal victory in your pocket. But the question is if you can do more. As you can see, I'm putting my armor around flak. That's my brand new Tiger tank. I'm just trying to give it an easy spot to get experience, because I don't want to put a 0-star Tiger tank on the front lines. And I really want the Air Force to be distracted. And by leaving the auxiliaries to soak up damage, this allows me 2 turns to set up positions. And I want 2 turns because turn 2 I'm going to try to take out the Air Force. But what's going to happen is turn 2 I'm going to damage the Air Force, turn 3 I'll finish it, and then I can get really aggressive. Until turn 6. Turn 6 is when the second wave comes. So it's actually good they're going in the middle, because it allows me to more easily outflank them from the south, which I kind of do. The enemy is just really tied down in the middle, so I can establish aggressive forward positions. Yeah, the Russian fighters are nasty. So once again, I'm using the forest to dig in early with my infantry, because I'm going to try to deter tanks from attacking. And it works, which I'll point out. The hills don't work, but forest is really good for infantry. Of course, the artillery gets lucky. So now the enemy was distracted, so I can take a very, very aggressive position in the north, using the terrain to my advantage. That's Oladir sneaking in there. I'm bringing up Kesha just to see what's up north, but he can go wherever. That was really awesome. That was not planned. Meanwhile, the planes are kind of distracted. And this means I don't have to be super aggressive with my fighters. How about my brand new Tiger Tank? And he got a hero. Whoops. An attack +1 hero. I'm not going to complain about that. It's probably more useful for that Tiger to have attack +1 than defense +1. It'll rack up more kills that way. Meanwhile, the infantry are coming out, and this is kind of serving as a screen that gives me a layer of protection. Here comes the artillery, but they have nothing to fire at yet. I also know that there's no anti-aircraft in this region, so I'm exploiting that. It's also cloudy, except it'll be clear next day. Oh, one of my fighters got a second hero, and it was initiative +1, which is very useful. As you can see, I'm making my wall of armor, and now my level bombers can safely attack. I didn't realize the spag was there, but I got lucky, so I didn't complain. So now, I know the forces up north. I actually just kind of figured that out playing, so now I'm trying to outflank them in the south. And it works-ish. So my Tiger's doing good work on that hex. So you might go, wait a minute, the elephant doesn't need artillery protection? You would be correct. the elephant is actually very strong, and I don't think anybody wanted to attack the elephant without any protection, except for planes. Oh, is that an ambush? Unfortunately, that was Kesha, and Kesha just had a bad roll. I really need to get him to 4 stars, which thankfully happened after this battle. Kesha has been kind of disappointing in this run. Rondorf has been doing better. And once again, the Spag missed. I was happy for that. And then that Spag crippled that plane. That plane I still squeezed value out of, but carefully. That artillery is a little dangerous, I have to admit. What I didn't realize is that the infantry coming at me are really, really strong, and even with artillery support, my infantry are vulnerable. So because the Air Force is dealt with, I can now attack most of everything. There's 2 Spags, but I think I deal with one of them this turn. So what you're seeing here is I'm targeting the artillery, and that it's actually pretty crippling. So I take out the Spag. And my fighters are targeting the artillery. So basically, the enemy has nowhere to go. I've got them funneled pretty heavily in this area. That guy's out of ammo. Let's see if I can force a surrender in a T-34. Then that artillery got lucky again. Then I offer up the auxiliary. So they only have like a couple of active tanks, so I want one of them to go after that auxiliary. And they would go in the swamp, which would be great. I'm beginning my Operation Outflank in the south. And the enemy is kind of running out of powerful units, which is nice. Yeah, those T-34s, they basically look at those elephants and say, nope. This really surprised me. I think these are guards. And these guards did a lot of damage to my paratroopers. I think it's because paratroopers are much better on offense than defense. So already, the whole northern position is starting to fall apart. So now that the artillery's weakened, now I use my level bombers to cripple the tanks, especially the powerful ones. So that guy's out of ammo, so it's just target practice. And then that guy can be surrendered. That guy's out of ammo, so I can wail on him. Oh, this is such a good feeling. This strategy is working. That was a really bad roll for the Tiger, but that's also a really nasty tank. But all the firepower is starting to weaken. There's only 2 active tanks right now. So I'm happy to let the auxiliary flak draw the T-34's fire. Yeah, that KV-85 is extremely difficult to kill. Even out of ammo. Because of the fact the tanks are crippled, I can move my infantry on open terrain. You'll see what I'm going to try here. I'm being super aggressive. And apparently a Katyusha rocket got lucky. Then I got my movement +1 on the elephant. So that's an elephant with movement +2. So now I'm going to go after that T-34. Because I've crippled the armor. Yeah, look at how hard it is to kill this thing. My mountain unit tries to take this guy out. So, because the armor's taken care of, infantry on open hexes is not such a big deal. Whoopsie daisy. And then apparently the fighter got really lucky. I had a lot of super high rolls from the enemy this map, but I succeeded, so I can't complain too much. I think Soren is going to be impressed with what I pulled off here. So my elephant, look at how tough the elephant is. With the armor out of the way, my infantry can advance in waves. So that's the second wave of planes dealt with. So all the, yeah, as you can see, there's not much left. 7 strength elephant showing up in a big way. Now my level bombers can attack infantry. Uh-oh. Oladir shows up. The armor is just getting cleared out. It feels good. I can already start the approach on the southernmost objective, and I plan on attacking that with a ton of artillery, and it works out very well. And the enemy is running out of infantry already, and my infantry is ready to rumble. I'm just constantly rotating the Tiger so I can get some cheap XP. That trap is so good. It's really hard to complain about how the Tiger performed. My elephant was doing really well. Oladir kicking ass like usual. You can see the infantry is running out of ammo, so that gives your elephants a great target. This strategy of just running everything out of ammo is awesome. And you surround the enemies so that they can't resupply. I was rather surprised the elephant did so poorly in the rain. Or maybe the infantry just high rolled. Man, that is nasty. That was perfect experience. A rugged defense on the fully suppressed infantry. I'm really rushing forward because I want to choke off the river crossings. Because I want the enemy to be stuck behind the river. My poor elephants. Trying to kill things. And not doing very well. shockingly hard to kill some of these infantry. So it took me 9 turns, but I totally wiped out the first counterattack. I think that's pretty impressive. I think you can get a decisive here in 10 turns. If you play your cards right. Maybe not 10, but in 11 I think you can. But I hope you appreciate that strategy of draining everything of ammo and surrounding it and just target practice. That's what I have in mind when I'm going to try to beat this on ultimate mode. It's a cheesy strategy, but it was really effective on this map. This is what I built the core for. You could probably make an argument that I should have one more fighter and one more strategic bomber, and give up my 2 tactical bombers. It might be necessary on this road. Here comes the counterattack, and I'm getting to the rivers just in time. But yeah, I think a decisive victory with careful planning can be done in 11 turns. I just didn't do it right. There's my 5 strength fighter showing up. So they only have 2 planes left, and my bombers are free to move. So I stuck my defense +3 Pioneer in there, but I think I underestimated the artillery issue. Because I would have had the decisive this turn, but artillery is a problem. I'm actually trying to weaken the infantry there to protect the Pioneer. But the artillery is simply too good. And then I made a mistake. I should never have put the artillery there. It's just exposed. Or I should have put my air defense behind it. It looks like I have the decisive victory. I'm curious why it didn't end. Oh, did I not take the northern objective? Oh, I could have ended it here by simply taking that objective. That was a mistake. That was my mistake. I did everything correct. I just didn't take that. I could have taken that with my Tiger tank. I feel like a doofus now. On the other hand, this gave me an opportunity to get some more experience on some of my units. Probably not worth it, but yeah, you can easily get a decisive in 11 turns. That's pretty impressive. I do wipe out all of the planes. That was nice. And that, I believe, gave Kesha the 4th star. So it was worth it. I got Kesha to 4 stars. I mean, I'm almost on the verge of breaking out in the south, and then I could snatch more hexes, but there's no time. Alright, let's take a look at the battlefield. So, yeah, I mean, there's not much left over here. There's like 2 infantry units and then support. In terms of armor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 armored units left in the second wave, and then 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So there's 25 total armored units left, but I feel like I did a pretty good job of destroying the enemy. I mean, there's not much left over here. That's pretty good. Let me know what you think, and until next time, Richard out.